We spend billions of hours chasing productivity hacks, morning routines, and public relations tactics. We optimize our calendars, treating professional success as surface-level behavioral tricks. Covey classifies this focus on quick fixes and social image as the personality ethic. It is the visible tip of the iceberg, tactics used to project competence to the outside world. But supporting that visible tip is a massive hidden structure beneath the waterline, the character ethic. This represents the unchangeable foundation of integrity, courage, and discipline. Polishing the ice above the water accomplishes nothing if the structure below is rotting. Sustainable efficacy requires aligning your character with immovable, universal principles. This map shows a dot moving quickly through a city grid. The header says New York, but the layout actually belongs to Chicago. This is a paradigm, the internal mental map we use to navigate reality. If your map is wrong, your speed is irrelevant. You will only arrive at the wrong destination much faster. Reality is governed by principles. These aren't flexible social values. They are objective natural laws. We do not break them. We only break ourselves against them. To understand how these laws govern output, we have to check the P-PC balance. P is the production, the results you want. PC is the production capability, the human engine or physical asset generating those results. Maximizing short-term output while systematically degrading the asset that produces it guarantees eventual system failure. This diagram plots the systemic progression of human efficacy. We begin at the baseline of dependence, relying on others for survival. But effective living requires a vertical trajectory toward independence. This transition to mastering yourself is the pride of victory. You cannot lead a team until you lead your own actions. Habit 1, be proactive, describes the mechanical gap in human behavior. It is the realization by an external stimulus and your internal response are not locked together. There is a space between them. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl proved this in the extreme. While imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp, he realized that his captors controlled his environment, but he retained the absolute freedom to choose his internal response. We map this power through two circles. The outer ring is the circle of concern, variables like the economy or other people's opinions. The inner ring is the circle of influence, our direct actions and responses. Pouring energy into the outer circle wastes your capability and shrinks your influence. But when you focus energy on the variables within your control, that inner circle expands outward, giving you more leverage over the system. Once you control your responses, you can design your path. This is habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. It is based on the law that all things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. To judge your current trajectory, you have to look at your final legacy. Imagine your own funeral 3 years from today. What will the speakers say about your character and your contributions? If you do not write your own script, you will live by the agendas of others. A personal mission statement creates a constitutional core that stabilizes your decision-making in chaotic environments. Habit 3 is the physical execution of that blueprint. This matrix plots importance and urgency. Quadrant 1 contains urgent crises, the fires you fight today. Quadrant 3 contains urgent but unimportant interruptions. Professionals often confuse this panic with productivity. The true domain of efficacy is Quadrant 2, important but not urgent. This includes strategy, health, and relationships. Effective individuals master the pleasant no to Quadrant 3 distractions. By forcing their time into Quadrant 2 strategy, they systematically shrink the number of Quadrant 1 crises they face. To scale your output, you must move from independence to interdependence, working with others. But team optimization is impossible without individual self-mastery. Interdependence requires trust, which operates like an emotional bank account. You must make constant deposits through honesty and kept promises before you can afford to make a withdrawal. Habit 4, think win-win, replaces the zero-sum scarcity mentality with the abundance mindset, the belief that cooperation actually expands the total size of the pie. This graph maps the behavioral traits required for that mindset. It demands high courage to stand up for your needs and high consideration to empathize with theirs. You must operate in this top right quadrant. If those needs cannot align, you must use the ultimate position of power, no deal. Walking away preserves respect and prevents the manipulation required to force a bad fit. True collaboration is not a weak compromise. It is a high-courage protocol designed to expand total systemic output. But you cannot negotiate that outcome until you know what the other side needs. Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Offering advice before listening is like a doctor prescribing surgery without a diagnosis. We usually practice autobiographical listening, simply waiting for our turn to speak. Empathic listening requires you to shut down your ego and supply psychological air, allowing the other party to lower their defenses. Removing these defensive barriers enables habit 6, synergize. It is the creation of a third alternative, a solution mathematically superior to either individual idea. In human systems, 1 + 1 can equal 3, 10, or even 100. The founding of Apple is a case study in this synergy. Steve Jobs provided the aggressive behavioral traits of a visionary salesman. Steve Wozniak provided the traits of a master engineer. If two people in a system agree on everything, one of them is entirely unnecessary. Synergy is the non-linear output generated when independent, high-trust individuals actively combine their conflicting perspectives to build something new. This system requires a final piece. Habit 7, sharpen the saw. Consider the allegory of a woodcutter struggling to chop a tree with a dull blade. When asked why he doesn't stop to sharpen his tools, he says he is too busy sawing. This is the failure of the P-PC balance. To protect your capability, you must execute systematic renewal across 4 dimensions: physical, spiritual, mental, and social-emotional. This maintenance is the engine that drives the entire maturity continuum. Without it, your human asset degrades. Human development is an upward spiral. It requires a continuous cycle of learning, committing, and doing. Information without application is not transformation. Possessing the blueprint of efficacy is meaningless unless it is systematically engineered into daily action.